So guys, before I start this one, if you can, please share this video with everyone and also drop a like, and let's try and get 1,000 likes within the next 24 hours. Big respects. A gang of drug runners from America, recruited by crime bosses, were told to hide in the toilets at Manchester Airport and wait for luggage containing £8 million of coke. The couriers, 5 women and 2 men, were recruited by drugs barons in the US and offered between £3,000 to £4,000 to fly to the UK and pick up the 12 bags. Fucking, sometimes you can't make this shit up. Like, you're not gonna get caught. So, inside these packages were more than 300 kilos of coke, but the plan fell apart after a member of staff at an X-ray machine became suspicious of the rectangular shaped blocks in the cases. Talk about disguises. So basically, Border Force officials just basically come in and fucked them over. So the recruit members, they're all US nationals, and they were split into teams and travelled to Manchester on different flights. Manchester Crown Court was told. Brian Morales, 30, and Laquisa Greer, 50, flew in from JFK Airport in New York. Charles Masses, 29, and his girlfriend Brianna Hunt, 22, came to the UK from Orlando. And Yulibeth Gonzalez, Leandra Royer, and Chloe Sandoval flew in from Los Angeles via Dusseldorf. 3 members of the group were arrested on the spot. 4 others were detained in rooms at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel opposite the airport, and Mass and Hunt, who were in a relationship, were found naked in bed when officers burst in. 1 case has never been found. The rest contained coke with a wholesale value of around £700,000. The judge said that the sophisticated criminals took advantage of other naive and foolish members of the gang who thought they could make some easy money. 6 people are now in jail for their roles in the sophisticated operation, which prosecutors said was orchestrated by crooks further up the chain. Another faces prison pending a further hearing. So their arrivals on the morning of May the 31st last year were timed to coincide with an incoming flight from Cancun in Mexico. On that plane were 12 suitcases, each containing between 22 and 24 blocks of coke. Every case had a different name tag attached. The members were each given the details of 2 cases to collect, and they were all told they would be paid between £3,000 to £4,000 plus travel expenses. The key orchestrator was a person in court named as Nate. He worked in close connection with an associate called Cruz. They recruited members, they made travel arrangements and communicated with them via WhatsApp and Telegram. Roy helped recruit some of the others, and in a message to a friend, she promised it was quick cash, that nobody had ever been arrested, and that it was 100% secure. So the Mass then recruited his girlfriend Hunt. So a previous trip on May the 11th saw Mass fly from Barbados to Manchester with no luggage. He stayed at the Holiday Inn for a night, and a suitcase containing 20 kilos of coke was left unclaimed at baggage. On May the 24th, Mass, Hunt and Marielle travelled to Manchester from Cancun, and the court heard that this was a failed trip, and a message sent to Marielle read, "Cases didn't make it." In a message to Nate a week before the trip, which ended in her arrest, Greer said, "As long as I go and I come back safely and I get the money, I'm good." On May the 31st, a member of staff at Terminal 2 baggage spotted a bag with unusual contents, rectangular shaped blocks. More bags were flagged and Border Force officers were called. The group had been given instructions to hide in the toilets before getting the cases. Sandoval picked up a bag and took it to somewhere in Bury before returning to the Hilton. Gonzalez picked up a case but was stopped, and the last message sent from her phone to Nate read, "I got caught." Mass and Hunt aborted their plan and made their way to the Hilton, where they were joined by Roy, who had been tipped off. Marielle and Greer were detained as they stood by the carousel. Later that day, Royer and Sandoval were arrested at the Hilton, whilst Mass and Hunt were naked in bed when they were detained. So Sandoval, Hunt, Royer, Greer, Mass and Gonzalez pleaded guilty to frequently evading the prohibition importation of Class A controlled drug before a trial was due to begin. Marielle stood trial and was convicted by jury. Marielle was sentenced to 13 years. Mass and Royer got 11 years, 8 months. Gonzalez got 9 years. Hunt got 7 years and 6 months, and Greer got 8 years and 6 months. Once they are released, they face automatic deportation to the US, and Sandoval is going to be sentenced on February the 14th. Passing sentence Judge Tom Gilbert said it was a considerable and sophisticated operation. He said all those involved knew they were doing something obviously illegal but wanted to make some quick money. However, it was nothing compared to the cost or the risk you were taking on for others, the judge told him. He said Marielle, Mass and Royer played a significant role as they had great knowledge of the scale of the enterprise. The judge said Hunt, who was young, naive and impressionable, Gonzalez and Greer, who was suffering with cancer, played a lesser role. He said each of you were taken advantage of, and I feel sorry for you guys, but our prisons await you. Absolute madness, guys.
Running him over have been locked up for attempted murder. Joshua Littlechild, who's 26, and Joshua Lloyd, who's 29, were found guilty of attempted murder at Basildon Crown Court in January this year. They were jailed at the same court this Friday to 24 years for attempted murder and aggravated vehicle taking, and each handed a 12-month driving ban effective upon release. The court heard that on March 18, 2023, just after 1 a.m, the victim and his friend were heading to the taxi rank outside Billericay railway station after a night out when the victim became involved in an altercation with Littlechild and Lloyd. The two groups split, with the victim and his friends walking back towards the station to get a taxi as planned. Whilst waiting at the taxi rank, a white Ford Fiesta driven by a Littlechild drove at pace towards the group, hitting the victim before driving off. The victim was left with a critical brain injury and required multiple surgeries to repair the damage. He suffers from severe headaches, struggles to remain balanced, and has severe cognitive issues. He has no short-term memory and struggles to recognize his newborn baby, and he requires constant supervision, which has had a huge strain on his family. Upon investigation, officers identified the car was stolen a week previously and was on false plates. The car was located a short distance from Lloyd's address. Text messages were found on Lloyd's phone from Littlechild warning that police had located the car. Lloyd was arrested at his home address on the same day, and Littlechild was arrested 3 days later in the Newcastle area. Upon arrest, he was found with a suitcase and his passport. Detective Sergeant Mark Farmer of British Transport Police said, "I am extremely pleased with the result in this case. Lloyd and Littlechild act with extreme cowardice and malice, and in attempting to kill someone over such a minor disagreement, they highlighted the danger they pose to the public. The victim suffered life-changing injuries, and I hope that the sentence handed down can provide the victim and their family some closure. I would like to thank all the officers who worked relentlessly on the investigation and who helped gather the evidence that made it possible to secure the sentence."